Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing good today. Mind my hair, by the way. I'm very much in a transitional phase of growing dreads and it's looking quite messy and fluffy, but I'm hoping this week it will be starting to get sorted. But yes, it's a very long process of beginner dreads. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the difference between trans and what I call and living, breathing, transforming transgenders have actually called fake trans people. So I know anyone now who watches this, but hopefully if more people watch it in the future, might see this as very triggering and see this as very like I'm being transphobic, but I wish that all of you who watch this listen with open arms and open ears and know that I'm making this video to educate people and to open people up to the possibility that they might not be trans and they might just be gender non-conforming. So please be respectful as much as you can and just listen from start to finish if you have time with what I'm going to say. So, you're probably thinking, when I've just mentioned this, Jordan, why are you even bringing this up as a topic? You're not trans. Why are you adding more fuel to the fire? Well, invisible person, the reason why I am bringing this up is because I feel like even though a lot of the trans activists say, even though they say I'm not a part of it, I kind of am with particular parts of it, and that's what I'm going to mention in the video. So, trans has become a very popularized and commercialized thing at the minute, and I've noticed within the community that it's become more popular to be trans than to just be a basic gay guy, gay girl, or bi guy or bi girl. And they keep coming up with all of these new names and terms that are basically shutting all of the original ones down. So, for example, there is this quite new term called pansexual. So to me, pansexual is pretty much the same thing as bisexual, but it just includes trans people. So it's like the upgraded version of bisexuality. I hardly know anyone today or in the past when I was in my LGBT groups and social events, I hardly knew anyone that was bisexual and called themselves bisexual. It was always pansexual or sexually fluid. So again, it's to negate the bi side of things. Like, pansexual has become more popular now to be more inclusive of trans people, because everything has to be about trans people at the minute, which I've actually been told a couple of times in person by actual trans people, and mostly what I've seen on YouTube by actual living, breathing, transforming trans people. It actually gets on the nerves because it's everywhere, which I would get. So pansexual is to erase the bisexual, and then there is these new words that basically erase gay guys and gay girls. I can't remember what it's called. If anyone knows, please let me know down below. It's basically, I think it's more popular with lesbians, basically, but because they don't want to be called transphobic, they call themselves this other name to let people know that they are a cis woman in a lesbian relationship, but it's called differently. So it's like gay women aren't allowed to say, oh, I strictly date other gay women that isn't trans. And it shows internalized homophobia. It's on both sides of the gay spectrum, but it's more shown on the lesbian side. And I think it's really upsetting because we don't need the community to be any more toxic or any more segregated as it already is. And then there is all the non-binaries and the gender fluids. So even though they say that they are trans, anyone this is going to annoy people, woke people who watch this, but it's just the truth. And if you want more proof than me, listen to Blair White, The Offensive Tranny on YouTube, and Book Angel, which are very presentable, very moderate trans influencers. And all three of them said, there's no way, if I had the choice, that I would be trans, because it is a mental block that is within your mind that you do not like. And if you could just choose to be a normal cis woman and not transition, then they would much rather do that. So anyone who says, I love being trans and I choose to be trans, you are not a real trans person, because that's not how gender dysphoria works. So people who say that they are trans but then they change the wording of trans to basically mean I am not a guy or a girl, I change, or I float in the middle and I choose to be trans, that is changing what people now call transsexuals to be, which was the original definition of trans. So it's all to do with changing and manipulating. So again, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I've kind of not answered why I'm even talking about this. Even though I don't really identify with the modern community, being a gay guy, I still live in that kind of mainstream. I've been watching a lot of detransitioner stories on YouTube, and they're all very sad. Ariel Scarcella and Blair White will show transitioner stories that other YouTube channels won't, because they'll be called transphobic and a bigot. But them two are very brave, and they'll show the stories that consensual, that the stories that want to be put out. And they're always very hard to listen to. And I've also seen other odd little ones that other YouTubers have said. And they always come down to three reasons, mostly, why someone is a detransitioner and thinks that they're trans, but actually they're not. A lot of them tend to be autistic, and it's their way of escaping the world. Like, a lot of autistic people will stammer and they'll flap their arms and kind of go in a circle. It's like that version of that. The other one is, this is going to sound bigoted, and I know that it is, because it sounds very what the old conservative and right-wing people would have said, but it's actually been scientifically proven when you look into it, that a lot of the fake trans people that transition but then detransition will often say that they went through a allotment with extremism, with trauma and sexism. So it is shown to be more for women that want to transition into guys, and it's because they feel and experience certain sexism that they want to basically escape that mindset. And a lot of them are true, but I have my certain suspicions that a lot of them are just saying that's something sexist when it's not. But regardless of that, it is shown that it's because they see the world as being sexist, and it's their way of escaping that. And then a lot of it has also been trauma. And like I say, that is what conservative and right-wing people who are that were for the most part religious said with the trans and the gays, that were like, they have been sexually molested and that's what made them that way, or they will sexually molest your kids. And it sounds very much like that, but it is shown by these people that it is one of them. So it's that, and then it's also been shown that a lot of them are just stereotypical gay guys and gay girls, but because it's more popular to be trans, and people, for the most part, as a society, we want to feel included and we want to be accepted in society, they will say that they're trans, or they can be convinced that they're trans. So I want to make something completely clear before someone takes me out of context. You cannot make or transform someone into someone that they're not. So you cannot make a guy or a girl that's trans that wasn't trans, and you cannot make someone who is straight who is gay. You cannot make someone who is gay who is straight. You cannot change anyone who they're not meant to be, but you can confuse people and you can convince people that they are such way, even though inwardly and physically they're not. So, like I say, a lot of them are stereotypical gay guys and gay girls because, again, not 100%, but when I was a kid, I was the very stereotypical flamboyant gay guy where I liked colourful things. I liked wearing women's clothes sometimes. A lot of them were my stepmom's. I liked very girly activities. I didn't like sports. I played with Barbies and Bratz dolls more than like action figures. So I was very stereotypical feminine, and I liked pretty much everything that the girls stereotypically liked. And it's shown that if you are a guy and you are like me, or how I used to be, they are told that they are trans and that they should transition, so then they do, but then they found out that they were just gay. And it is shown that gay guys and gay girls have actually, the acceptance on scales has gone down and trans has become really heightened. So obviously, if you're in a community that you want to feel included and accepted in, you're going to go with the one that is the most accepted, and that is the trans. So that is why I'm making this video, because as a gay guy who is very old school libertarian, non-woke, and just wants everyone to be the best version of themselves and want equal rights for everyone, and I don't want anyone to be discriminated against any race, any sexuality, any religion. I just want everyone to live in harmony. That's literally it. Like, if it were up to me, everyone wouldn't care what anyone else is, and we would just be judged by the personality of within than the physicalness of our body. So because the fake trans movement has now have a record of convincing gay guys and gay girls to be trans, or that they should be trans, or they might be trans, that's why I'm making this video, because then it involves me, and it involves the gay male community. So I think I've said, for the most part, what I wanted to say in this video. Like I say, this isn't to hate anyone, this isn't to throw shade on anyone. I just wanted to show you and tell you my experience, and basically say, look into what I've said, and you'll see that a lot of the people that say they're trans aren't actually trans, and they're fake trans. So the way to know the difference is to watch detransitioner stories and listen to what they say. And for the most part, obviously everyone is different and they have different stories, but overall it's mostly them three topics that I just spoke about. And if someone is with you and they're like, oh, I love being trans, or I choose to be trans, then they're lying, then they're not trans, and they're just gender non-conforming. Because when you look at a lot of people that say that they're trans but they don't want to transition, it's literally either guys playing with makeup and playing with women's clothes, which is no shade, nothing wrong with that. You do you. Dress however you want to dress. That's not hurting anyone. You know, clothes is clothes. It's a long piece of fabric. That's not gonna confuse or harm anyone. It's what you do or what you say when you're wearing said so clothes is what confuses people in society. So it's either that, or with women, it's usually the ones with piercings, and they have a toxic relationship with femininity, so they dress very neutral. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched until the end, I hope that I've enlightened you in some way. So if you kind of agree or disagree with what I just mentioned, please let me know in the comments down below or in my Twitter profiles. If you've noticed the same thing that I have, please let me know your story. If anyone eventually watches this that are trans and they're sick of the bullshit, then let me know that as well. I'll also link my second YouTube channel where I talk about albums that I'm into, and I give reviews on them, and then I say who might like said so album. So have a great day and love ya.